So what are we doing first? Let's start with, this is a brief video, so we haven't covered spirit science in a while, so spirit science has this video called, Is Trump a Time Traveler? Let's check it out. I also have 2 hydrates. I missed one 12 minutes ago, so I'll do 2 big gulps while we watch this video.
Hey there! Before we begin, I have a quick announcement I'd love to make. For several months now, we've been toiling in secret on a special new series discussing conspiracies after a massive surge of you guys asking for it. So we thought we'd try our hand at the subject and see how it goes.
Like everything else you post aren't conspiracy theories? What?
Now normally, we've been posting a new parable every Wednesday, but now Patched Parables is shifting to Saturday morning. Because who doesn't like Saturday morning cartoons? And this will free up our Wednesday slot for our new miniseries, The Conspiracy Theory of Everything. The first official episode will debut very soon, but in the meantime, here's a short and very interesting conspiracy to get you started. And with that, cue pitch drop.
So there's a conspiracy theory that's been making rounds on social media lately. Are the Trump family time travelers?
No, time travel doesn't exist. At least not the sci-fi jumping into the future the way they do. There is a thing that's time dilation if you're moving very fast. So sort of Star Trek IV style slingshot around the sun time travel. Well, no, because they go back in time. You can dilate time in such a way that you age slower than a different time frame reference, theoretically. Which happens, actually, with satellites that circle the Earth. They have to be adjusted for. It's in, like, the difference is, like, microseconds. But in theory, you could go forward. To our knowledge, there's no way to go backward, though.
It all began when someone was on the Library of Congress archive website and came across a book called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey that was published in 1893 by a man.
There's a book that has a name that someone else was named 100 years later? No one has the same name as a fictional character. That's crazy.
And called Lockwood Ingersoll, if that is his real name. Actually, he published 3 books in his...
This counts for fiction cited as fact on the bingo card.
Trump science fiction series. Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger, The Underground Journey, and The Last President. The Underground Journey is about a little boy called Baron Trump.
Muddy says, okay, just got here and basically everything on my screen is already fucking wild, except you, Hannah. You look great today. Thank you.
Well, actually, his name is Wilhelm Heinrich Sebastian von Trump, but he goes by...
So, he's not Baron Trump, he's a baron. He's a baron? His name isn't Baron, his title is Baron. He's a baron, which is completely different than your name being Baron. What the fuck? I hate. Mike Max says every conspiracy theorist.
I think not.
by Baron, who finds...
How old is this conspiracy? This has been going around, this is a QAnon thing. Even for QAnon people, this is like a... Like, if you're within the QAnon conspiracy theory, the people that are, like, conspiracy theorists within the conspiracy theory, they believe this, the whole Trump time travel thing. QAnon started in around 2017. So between 2017 and now, this kind of thing has proliferated.
It's a secret underground portal and time travels to different time periods. Now, the immediate and glaring thing here is that Baron is the name of President Trump's youngest son.
But it's not a title. It's his name. In the book, the guy is a baron. He's a baron. He's not Baron Trump. Left Flank Vets, thank you for raiding. Everyone go check out Left Flank Vets, a wonderful channel here on Twitch. They're incredibly based. Thank you very much. Welcome, Raiders. I'm Hannah. This is Tinfoil Tuesday. On Tinfoil Tuesday, we look at conspiracy theories, some of them political, some of them not, and debunk them when we can, make fun of them all the time. It's just a good time. So come hang out, watch some silly shit. This video is saying, Donald Trump is a time traveler. He needs a golf cart to travel around a golf course, but apparently he's just all traveling through time. You know how it is. I missed Daddy Sume's bits. Sorry, where were they? Daddy Sume said, I'm here. I'm stressed, and I need a fucking hug. Well, I'm sorry. Someone hug Daddy Sume. Ice Queen says, there was a person who had the same first and last name as my drag name as far back as 134 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and seriously, how pretentious was it for them to name the youngest that name?
If you look at drawings of the character in the Underground Journey...
Okay, this is a little mean to Baron Trump, honestly, if you're saying that dude looks like Baron. I missed your bits too? Wow, I missed a lot. I'm sorry. Pyromancer says, and it wasn't Trump's ancestor's last name Drumpf? It was some other thing. I think it got anglicized when they immigrated. I'm not entirely positive. Increasingly Phil, thanks for following. Gray Matter, thanks for following. Mandy Rebel, thanks for following. Hephaestus Fan, thanks for following.
And compare them to pictures of real-life Baron Trump.
Yeah, Baron Trump now. Baron Trump. I try not to bring kids into this. He's a little older now. Don't get me wrong. Trump's adult children who are active in politics, fuck them. They're adults who make their own choices. But I try not to talk about Baron Trump just because why would I do that, you know? Baron Trump is like a teenager, young adult now. It's actually creepy. When I saw this picture for the first time, I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, that kid went through a growth spurt. He's a young adult now, or a teenager, or whatever. He doesn't look like that. And he didn't look like this at the time either. The book character looks fat. Baron Trump has never been fat.
Resemblance is uncanny, but we haven't even gone.
No, it's not! In what? In that they both look like young boy children?
Started yet. In the book, little Baron Trump...
He'll turn out perfectly normal. I know, Baron Trump, statistically based on Trump's other kids, is probably going to grow up to be a big dirtbag. I'm not saying he won't. I'm saying wait until he becomes an adult dirtbag to call him out on it.
Trump has a mentor and father figure, a man called Don. The events of this book take place in Russia, and besides Donald Trump's famous friendship with Putin...
That's a way to put it.
Melania Trump, President Trump's wife...
He's 15 and 6'7"? Is he really? Wow. That's gotta come from Melania, right? That's nuts.
And mother of modern-day Baron Trump was born in Novo Mesto, Slovenia, before she moved to the US.
Slovenia isn't Russia! Russia's over here! There are multiple countries between Slovenia and Russia! What? Why did they say his mother was Russian in the book? I understand it's a former Soviet nation, but like, it's not now. You wouldn't describe her as Russian. Mike Mack says this guy, they're the same picture. Yeah, I would assume Don is a title too.
So 4 years later, Ingersoll
Former Yugoslav? Even better.
published the sequel, The Last President. An obvious coincidental name aside, this is where things get really weird.
Is it?
The main plot of this book is about a very wealthy man who lives on Fifth Avenue in New York who decides to run for president. And naturally, no one expects him to win. As you might expect, located at 725 Fifth Avenue in New York today is none other than Trump Tower. In the book, shortly after the mysterious wealthy man wins an election that no one expected him to win,
now I gotta double check the synopsis, because whenever conspiracy theorists say a book is like another book and they synopsize it, it's always fucking wrong. Let me look. Reminds me of, It reminds me of The Voyage of the Titan. It was a book that was written like 16 years prior to the sinking of the Titanic. 14 or 16, I'm not remembering. The Wreck of the Titan, is that what it is? There we go, sorry. The Wreck of the Titan, which was a book, a fiction novel, that basically recounted the events of the Titanic. But it was written before the Titanic sank. Interesting. This kind of thing happens. They're called coincidences. But let's take a look. This doesn't have a thing. Last president. Synopsis. The entire east side of New York City is in a state of uproar. Mobs of vast size are organizing under the lead of anarchists and socialists and threaten to plunder and despoil the houses of the rich who have wronged and oppressed them for so many years. The Last President, 1869, based. Andrew Rotella says, coincidentally, or as nutjobs like to call them, predictive programming. Yeah, you can put predictive programming, actually, on the bingo card. 1900, or The Last President, by Ingersoll Lockwood, is a surrealistic 1896 novel, where Americans are protesting a corrupt election process while the president's hometown of New York City is fearing the collapse of the republic after the transition of presidential power. If this reminds you of the attitudes after 2016 Trump presidential win, you're not alone. During 2017, this book, as well as Lockwood's two children books, The Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog, Bulger, and Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, drew attention to its uncanny connections to the Trump and his family. Well, now I feel like I gotta read the book at some point. Shit. Just because I'm curious, because I want to see how many coincidences there are. Misattribution of coincidence? Yes. Rublum says, not related but interesting, did you know that there's a bank in Italy that will accept artisan Parmesan cheese wheels as collateral? In 2017, they had over 300,000 wheels, worth about 140 million US dollars. I did know that, actually, yes. Which makes sense. It's a commodity.
He's inaugurated and starts selecting his cabinet. One of the first people he chooses is another mysterious gentleman who goes by the name Mr. Pence. Granted, in the book, he's given the post of Secretary of Agriculture.
This is why it's a coincidence. Because if it were predictive, it would line up perfectly and not like, It's like when you get a puzzle piece that almost fits, but one of the sides is wrong. It's like these people would like take a hammer or scissors and try and cut it to the right place. You can't say it's like a predictive time travel thing when details are wrong. It's a coincidence. It's an interesting coincidence, sort of like the conspiracy theorists will bring up, for instance, fiction is fact. Yes, fiction is fact. Like, conspiracy theorists will bring up the coincidences between JFK and Lincoln similarities. Not 9gag. Why did it come up as 9gag? Ugh. Tiger White says, I mean, the book probably taking inspiration from the contentious election of 1876. Daddy Sume says, did you really think Hannah wouldn't know an interesting fact about cheese? You're really going to need to read the book after this video. At some point I might. I don't know. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Oh. So there are these. I just got to find an infographic. So some of these are true, some of these are not true. Or some have been expounded upon. But conspiracy theorists will bring stuff like this up. Lincoln, Kennedy, coincidence? Two presidents who, of course, were assassinated. Both Lincoln and Kennedy were concerned with civil rights. I guess that's true, but a lot of presidents have been. Lincoln was elected president in 1860, Kennedy in 1960. Both were slain on a Friday and in the presence of their wives. I guess that's not weird that a president would be near their wife during a public thing. Both were shot from behind and in the head. That is how you would make sure you kill someone if you're trying to assassinate them. Their successors, both named Johnson, were Southern Democrats, and both were in the Senate. Andrew Johnson was born in 1808, and Lyndon Johnson was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth was born in 1839, and Lee Harvey Oswald was born in 1939. You get it. There are coincidences that line up because human beings are pattern-seeking animals. So what we do best is search for patterns in things, right? It's how we've survived as a species, or at least one of the ways. But unfortunately, that misfires, and we look for coincidences everywhere. We look for patterns everywhere, even where they don't exist. And this is a case of that, as is the Lincoln-Kennedy thing. This is basically why conspiracy theories exist in the first place. Hydrate. Princess Amelia says 2 presidents elected 100 years apart in a nation holds presidential elections every 4 years on the dot. Amazing. Yes, misattribution of coincidence on the bingo card.
Rather than vice president, but still, what's really going on here?
Coincidence.
After his inauguration, since no one expected him to win, the city of New York and the wider US in general erupts into violence, with people rioting and damaging property left, right, and center. So naturally, the new president signed some new executive orders to better control the people. Now, the next part of this theory
he's talking about the
gets
book.
even more...
Gotcha. Chrysia says, based on an excerpt I found, the book is more about a Marxist revolution following the election of a man of immense privilege less than the actual president. That makes sense.
crazy. Today, everyone knows about the forgotten physicist Nikola Tesla. In 1943,
Everyone knows about the forgotten physicist. You might want to do an editing pass.
he died bankrupt, in love with a pigeon, don't ask, and all alone in room 3327 of the Hotel New Yorker at the age of 86 from a blood clot. Now, while this theory usually says something along the lines of Tesla having designs for a time machine, this isn't strictly true. In fact, he was generally pretty critical of Einstein's theory of relativity, which is one of the main theories that time travel is generally based off of, as he didn't believe...
Did he say Tesla fell in love with a pigeon? Yeah, I gotta take this one thing at a time. I don't know anything about the pigeon thing.
Space could be curved. The thing is, he actually claimed to have developed his own theory regarding matter and energy that he started working on in 1892. And in 1937, at age 81, he claimed in a letter to have completed a dynamic theory of gravity that would put an end to idle speculations and false conceptions about curved space. However, this theory was never found in any more of his writings, seemingly disappearing from any record.
If he fell in love with a pigeon, I don't know if I would trust his claims. Like, hey, alternating current, nailed it. But smart people say dumb things all the time. Newton, the father of modern science, spent his time doing alchemy and biblical numerology. People can be brilliant and also be wrong about other things. Colston says, the pigeon thing is actually true. He had a questionable relationship with a pigeon. Yeah. Nice. That XY girl says, the pigeon thing is a common story. His diary is said to quote, I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose in my life. Maybe he just really loved his pet. That doesn't mean he was fucking the pigeon. I mean, obviously he wasn't fucking the pigeon. That would kill the pigeon. But you don't gotta make it a weird thing just because he loved his pet. Princess Amelia says Nikola Tesla was actually known to exaggerate a lot in later years to get publicity when he needed more money. Sounds a little like Elon. Andrew Patella says, in order to allow for time travel, you need curved time. It makes no sense to claim that Tesla would be against Einstein's curved space-time and that he'd invent time travel. Tucker White says maybe Tesla was a furry. Furries and people who want to fuck animals are two different things, just for the record. I know I have furries in my audience, and I don't want to offend them. I'm aware that furries are not into bestiality.
After he died, the US government took possession of all of his inventions, theories, and files in the interest of seeing what he knew. The department that took everything was known as the Office of Alien Property. Alien as in foreign, not as in Grays. And after they took a look at everything, they handed everything left over to the
Nikolai Sorry, Nikolai Tesla equals Bert? I don't know what you mean. Daddy Sume with a link says, do not show this on stream, but I found the pigeon. Well, now I gotta look. Hold on. Okay, I gotta delete that, though. Seriously, Daddy Sume. Don't post porn, even if it's like that, in the stream. I gotta purge that. Hold on. I didn't mean to time you out. Hold on. I'm trying to untime you. Yeah, it won't let me for some reason. Thank you. It won't let me do it. I was just trying to do a 1-second timeout to purge the comment. Logarth says, Bert, of Bert and Ernie fame, known for doing the pigeon. Ah, gotcha. Yeah. I know. You can't post porn in the chat, guys, even if it's for a joke. Like, that's TOS. You're gonna get me banned. Which is why I have to act on it if it happens. Andrew Matella says, you're trying to untime Daddy Sume? Are you sure you're not a time traveler?
FBI. Long story short, the FBI hired an outside engineer from MIT to make sense of everything Tesla had, especially his inventions. And the man that they hired, drumroll please, was none other than John G. Trump, the late uncle of President Trump. After studying everything, John Trump determined that there was nothing dangerous
Speculation
in Tesla's inventions that
Noetic Fox says, so he was overtaken by a lich named Joseph, getting his DeLorean from his furry buddy, Tesla?
could hurt the US government. So this conspiracy theory goes, perhaps John Trump lied to
MB Gamer Juniper says, Time Lord Hannah, the D&D was just a red herring. Secretly, she's a real one. No offense, but if I was a real time traveler, you think I'd waste my time in this time?
the government to keep Tesla's theories to himself. And
The only way I'd be a time traveler in this time period is if my time travel machine broke down in this time period, and now I'm stuck having to do Twitch streams in order to make enough money to repair my time machine that isn't in my backyard right now.
and out of the hands of the government, perhaps even to help his own family, who then not only time traveled through time to set up their vast empire of wealth, but also cement their power in society.
Bumble Homestead says, OMG, that's what the PS5 is. Daddy Sume says, sorry, Hannah, we have done this before. I didn't realize it would get you in trouble for posting in chat. Like when I was posting my first Sony, you never told me not to. I know I didn't. That's my bad. I was thinking about it, and I think I could actually get in trouble for that. Like, it's my job to moderate the chat. So, I'm sorry. That's not on you. That's on me for not saying that earlier. That XY girl says, bits for Hannah's Time Machine Repair Fund. Thank you. Don't I have Time AAA? I thought it was a waste of money. You know? Dude from Moria says, bits for your time machine. Thank you.
Now, there's one more thing to this theory, but we're not sure where it fits in. See, President Trump's mother's name is Mary, and his father's middle name is Christ.
Trump's grandfather named his dad Frederick Christ Trump? That family is fucked up. My God. Who names their kid Christ? Oh my God. That's a good way to start your kid off with ego issues. Mike Mack says Donald Trump is his own grandfather. It explains so much. That's why he doesn't have the Delta brainwave. Or whatever the Futurama thing was.
So, yeah, that's kind of weird. But what's more, his birthday of June 14th, 1946 was marked by a total lunar eclipse. So some intense energies were
How often do lunar eclipses occur? 2 to 5 times a year, 5 being exceptional. The last time there were 5 was in 1935, and there won't be 5 again until 2206. Some years there are none, but they happen. So again, you're taking a coincidence, and you're making it something it isn't. Did every baby that was born that day grow up to to have a child that time travels?
Definitely going on back then, regardless. Further, a lot of the early...
Raven says, we're getting in on Hannah's time machine early. Hannah Coin is going to the moon, boys. His mother is named Elizabeth Christ Trump. Oh, was it the mother? That's weird. Why Christ is a middle name? Why do?
Early parts of these books, especially the first one,
if I had a time machine, what would I do with it? Go to the future. To see what the future's like. I've always been fascinated with science fiction, so I want to see basically the all future history of humanity. Whether it only lasts another 100 years, or 200, or 1,000, or if we somehow survive a really long time. I'd love to find out. That's what bugs me. Dying doesn't bug me. I understand that everyone's life is finite. Not knowing how the story of humanity is going to continue or end, that bugs me. Daddy Sume says, what if the moon is gone? That'd probably be bad. That'd probably be bad. That happened in The Time Machine, I think. In H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. It happened in the movie, at least.
Count Baron Trump's adventures into the Hollow Earth, meeting with secret civilizations and dealing with the natives there. I'm not saying that this means Trump is either the next Jesus or the Antichrist, but as far as conspiracies go, there are ideas about both of these
that was
on
the
either
reference,
side
yes.
of the equation. Now, I know how all this sounds. It's a pretty wild theory that the Trump family wrote these books or somehow influenced Ingersoll. Or maybe Ingersoll wrote his books as an expose to warn us.
Or it's a book that was written 100 years ago that happens to share names and some events vaguely with current events. Probably that one. Mike Mack says, this explains so much. Donald Trump's parents, any questions? Oh my god. Raven says, Master Mode Zelda Breath of the Wild is frustrating me. Have bits. I missed your bits. Sorry. I'm getting a lot today. Blackwing Hecate says, I have a kid in my psychology class named Messiah Allah. Ugh, that's weird.
Whether it's true or not, it certainly is one hell of a coincidence. If you want to see a funny slant on it, Jamie Fuller wrote in Portico that the character of Baron Trump is often precocious, restless, and prone to get in trouble, often mentions his massive brain, and has a personalized insult for most of the people that he meets, which sounds awfully familiar to someone who shall not be named. And apparently, Leigh Scott is currently working on a movie adaptation of the books that we might see in the coming years, so keep an eye out for that.
So, what do you think? Could Trump be a time traveler? I
No!
mean, what a crazy idea. Yet, maybe sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction.
Where does JFK Jr. fit in all this time travel shit? That's a good question. So according to QAnon people who believe this particular set of things, because the QAnon people do have sort of different beliefs depending on, how conspiratorial they are. They believe that Donald Trump is working with a team, including JFK Jr., who he teamed up with in the 90s to start building this plan to take down the, quote, deep state cabal, right? None of this is true, obviously, but this is the conspiracy theory. According to them, Hillary Clinton was planning a New York Senate run in the same district that JFK Jr. was planning on running, and therefore she had JFK Jr. killed. JFK Jr. did actually die in, I believe, a plane crash in the late 90s. And the conspiracy theory goes, again, that she had him killed. She didn't. He just died in a plane crash. And that secretly he pretended to get on the plane, but really he's been in hiding for years. Or, if you're more conspiratorial, he directly used the time machine to jump forward in time to today, and he's alive. Or he's going to appear sometime soon. because he's jumped somewhere in the future that we are unfamiliar with. Yeah, it's stupid.
Strangest of all might even be the connection to Back to the Future 2, in which Biff uses a time machine and...
They based Biff off Trump, because Trump was the 80s... Let's just look up 80s villains based on Donald Trump. Like, dude, is this a revelation to people that Donald Trump was literally the inspiration for tons of 80s villains? Like, he was the archetype of evil businessman in the 80s. Like, I can't speak to some of these because I haven't seen them. I can't really agree with the Syndrome one. Gordon Gekko, maybe. He's a Wall Street guy, though, not a investment real estate guy. Can't speak to that. King Koopa, I would say, is from Super Mario Brothers. Clamp is from Gremlins 2. Biff is from Back to the Future 2. Max Schreck from Batman Returns probably is. Like, this is not unknown. Guys, people based characters off of Donald Trump because he's a fucking scumbag and has been for a really long time. I don't understand.
basically becomes Donald Trump. And we should probably say too, that interpreting this theory should probably not be so rigid and literal. Perhaps the nature of time travel isn't physically traveling, but a
Oh, Lord. Struggling for Wi-Fi says, does the plane have a cruising altitude of 88 miles per hour? Started writing this before they brought up Back to the Future. Nick with a link. Back to the Future writer Biff Tannen is based on Donald Trump. Oh, yeah. We knew that. You didn't need to have him say that for us to know that. The guys from Red Letter Media had a really great pitch for Gremlins 3, because in Gremlins 2, the Clamp Tower is owned by Daniel Clamp, who is Donald Trump. And he's a shitty businessman. And Gremlins 2, they go into the office building, and it's like a futuristic office building, and they fuck it up. You know, you've seen the Gremlins movies. If you haven't, go watch the Gremlins movies. So they said, for Gremlins 3, have Daniel Clamp be the president. He's been elected president, and it's Gremlins in the White House and Gremlins in Washington, D.C. I think that's a funny idea. I don't know. Raven says, King Koopa is a carbon copy of Donald Trump. The people who made it even said so. Mike Mack says, so Trump has the power to time travel to the past, but doesn't do anything about all the atrocities humans have done in history? Hell, he didn't think of stopping the creation of the Illuminati or the Cabal? Morok says, the Super Mario Brothers movie is one of my favorite films of all time. It's so bafflingly bad. I adore it. I like it just because we get Mario's name, canonically, and Luigi's.
Sending of one's consciousness or ideas and information through time to the past and future. There's a lot of ways that this could go. And even if it is all just one big coincidence and nothing more, you gotta admit, it's really fun to entertain.
The
Seriously,
Gremlins elect
they could make a
McConnell as
movie
their
about
president.
it. Oh, wait. I guess they already did. 30 years ago. Now at Spirit Science, we, like many of you, have been following along with the myriad of conspiracy theories and everything going on right now. And what we find perhaps the most exciting is how
Daddy Sume says, I would watch that, but I would see the Secret Service just gunning down on the Gremlins. Honestly, the Secret Service, when you know, supervised, are kind of terrifying. Well, it's a movie, though. You have them do silly Gremlins thing to the Secret Service.
there is an intersection of these topics and our spiritual awakening. In our upcoming series, The Conspiracy Theory of Everything,
So that's the end of them talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump isn't a time traveler.
Hey everyone.
I shouldn't say that. He's a time traveler in the same way all of us are time travelers, in the sense that we are all moving forward in time 1 second per second. No one has time traveled. At least not in the sci-fi way.